Hey everyone, in this video, we'll uncover the most valuable Abraham Lincoln wheat penny you should be on the lookout for. We'll break down what makes these Lincoln wheat pennies so special, how much they're worth in today's market, and what you need to know to sell them successfully at auction. So let's get started. First up, the 1919 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without mint mark is one of the most memorable coins in the long history of United States coinage, marking the introduction of the Lincoln cent. This coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which did not use a mint mark at that time, and it replaced the Indian head cent that had been in circulation since 1859. The new design honored the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth and was created by the sculptor Victor David Brenner. The obverse features a detailed portrait of President Lincoln facing right, while the reverse shows two wheat ears, framing the words, "1 cent and United States of America." This is why it is commonly known as the wheat penny. The 1919 Lincoln cent became famous not only because it was the first to feature a real historical figure, but also because of the small initials VDB placed on the reverse bottom rim, representing Brenner's name. The inclusion of these initials caused some public debate, as critics argued that the artist's initials were too prominent. As a result, the Mint removed them shortly after production began, making two versions of the 1909 penny, one with the VDB initials and one without. The coin we are discussing here is the 1919 without mint mark and without VDB, which is still highly collectible even though it is more common than the 1919 VDB or the rarer 1909 SVDB from San Francisco. Your coin is described as being in extra fine condition with some scratches. In coin grading terms, extra fine, or XF, means the coin shows only light wear on the highest points of the design, such as Lincoln's cheek and jaw, but still retains sharp details in the hair and beard. The wheat stalks on the reverse should also be clear, with most of their lines visible. However, scratches can have a noticeable effect on the coin's overall value, as serious collectors prefer clean surfaces with minimal marks. Scratches often result from years of handling, storage in poor conditions, or contact with other coins. Even though these marks lower the collectible grade slightly, the coin's age, design, and historical background still make it an appealing piece. When it comes to the value of a 1919 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny in today's market, there are several factors to consider. The presence of the VDB initials, the coin's color tone, red, red-brown, or brown, and the overall eye appeal. A standard 1919 penny from Philadelphia without the VDB initials and in extra fine condition can typically sell for between $500 and $700 depending on the appearance and market trends. If the coin has minor scratches that do not heavily distract from the design, its value may remain around the lower end of that range. If it is the VDB version, the value could be slightly higher, around $150 to $350, since collectors often seek that version due to its limited mintage. Coins with heavy scratches or discoloration may sell for less than $100, while those with good luster and clean details, even if circulated, can reach close to $25. Certified coins from grading services like PCGS or NGC may bring higher prices because authentication gives buyers confidence. In some recent online auction sales, scratched or worn 1919 pennies without mint marks, in extra fine to very fine condition, sold between $6 and $18, which reflects a fair and realistic value range for average examples in today's collector market. Next up, the 1942 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is a classic coin from the World War II. And remains one of the most recognized pieces of American coinage. This coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which did not use a mint mark during that time. Millions of these coins were struck in 1942, making them common today, but they still hold sentimental and collectible value because of their history, age, and symbolic design. The obverse of the coin shows the familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, with the words, "In God We Trust," at the top, liberty to the left, and the date 1942 on the right side. The reverse features two stylized wheat stalks framing the words, "1 cent and United States of America," along with the Latin phrase, "E pluribus unum." This design, used from 1909 to 1958, is what gives the coin its popular nickname, the wheat penny. By 1942, the United States Mint was producing vast quantities of Lincoln cents, using a bronze composition made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This was the last full year before the wartime change in 1943, when the U.S. government switched to making pennies out of zinc-coated steel to save copper for military production. Because of this historical transition, the 1942 penny is an interesting piece for collectors. While it is not considered rare, it represents the final pre-war issue of traditional bronze Lincoln cents. Collectors often keep these coins for their connection to an important period in American history and for their enduring design. The coin in question is described as being in very fine condition with some scratches. In coin grading terms, very fine VF means that the coin has moderate wear, but most major details remain visible and clear. On the 1942 Lincoln wheat penny, Lincoln's cheekbone, jawline, and hair will show noticeable wear, but the main portrait is still bold and easily recognizable. The lines in the wheat stalks on the reverse should be well defined, though slightly flattened. This level of preservation makes it a mid-grade collectible coin, often sought after by those who prefer affordable examples with visible detail. The presence of scratches, however, lowers the coin's overall eye appeal and thus its market value. Scratches typically occur from years of circulation or rough handling, and collectors usually pay less for damaged pieces, even if the grade is relatively high. When considering value, several factors influence the price of a 1942 Lincoln wheat penny. The first is the mint location. Since this coin was minted in Philadelphia, it does not have a mint mark, and the Philadelphia issues were produced in large numbers, over 657 million coins in total. Because of that high mintage, they are fairly common and widely available today. Condition plays the second major role. A 1942 penny in good or fine condition might only be worth a few cents, while one in very fine condition, such as yours, can be worth slightly more. The final factor is the coin's surface quality and color. Original copper red examples tend to bring a premium compared to brown or dull pieces. A coin that retains some of its original luster may appeal to more buyers. In today's collector market, a 1942 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark in very fine condition generally sells for around 50 cents to $1. Coins with light scratches might be closer to 30 or 40 cents, while cleaner examples with even color and minimal marks can reach closer to $1 or slightly more. Since millions of these coins survive, buyers have plenty of choices, so any surface damage such as scratches reduces demand and price. For coins with deep or distracting marks, the value might fall to just above face value, though they still hold interest for beginner collectors. Next up, the 1947 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny with an S. Mint mark is a piece of American history that reflects the post-World War II period and continues the long tradition of the Lincoln cent series that began in 1909. This coin was minted at the San Francisco Mint, as shown by the small s beneath the date on the obverse side of the coin. By 1947, the wheat penny had already become an American icon, familiar to nearly every citizen and used daily in homes, stores, and businesses across the country. The design by Victor David Brenner had remained unchanged since its introduction in 1909, featuring a portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and two wheat stalks on the reverse. The simplicity of this design paired with its historical connection to President Lincoln, helped make the coin one of the most popular and longest-lasting series in U.S. coinage history. The 1947 S penny was struck in bronze, a composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This material gives the coin its warm reddish-brown color that collectors appreciate. After the steel cent experiment of 1943, the mint returned to the familiar bronze alloy, which was used again until 1962. More than 99 million 1947 S pennies were produced, making it a common issue today. Because of this large mintage, its collectible value depends mainly on its condition rather than rarity. The coin in fine condition shows clear wear on the high points of the design, but all the major features remain visible. Lincoln's cheek and jawline are smooth. The details in his hair are partially worn, and the wheat lines on the reverse are visible, though somewhat flattened. The coin you described also has some scratches, which is typical for circulated examples but does affect the value slightly. Fine condition, often called F12 in the coin grading scale, represents a mid-range circulated grade. These coins were used in commerce for several years, but still have enough detail to make them desirable for beginner collectors. However, scratches, marks, and dull toning can reduce their eye appeal. Collectors prefer coins with an even brown or red-brown color and minimal surface damage. A coin with many small scratches can still be worth keeping, but one with deep or heavy gouges will be worth less. Scratches usually come from years of contact with other coins in pockets, drawers, or counting machines, and they are part of what gives circulated coins their story and character. In today's coin market, a 1947 S Lincoln wheat penny in fine condition with some scratches typically sells for between 20 and 50 cents. Coins in similar condition without scratches might reach closer to 75 cents, or even $1 from certain dealers, but the difference in price depends mostly on appearance. When selling or buying such a coin, small factors like luster, toning, and how distracting the scratches are can make a noticeable difference in value. Coins that have been improperly cleaned often lose their natural surface color and can appear shiny or polished, which actually lowers their worth to collectors. Even though the 1947 S wheat penny is not rare, it remains an interesting collectible because it connects to a unique time in American history. The year 1947 was part of a rebuilding period after the end of World War II. The United States Mint was producing coins in large quantities to meet the needs of a rapidly growing post-war economy. Every coin from that era circulated widely, carrying the image of Abraham Lincoln as a daily reminder of perseverance, unity, and national pride. Today, holding one of these coins offers a small but meaningful connection to that period. Next up, the 1911 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is one of the classic early issues from the first decade of the Lincoln Cent series. First introduced in 1909, this coin was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, which means it does not carry any mint mark beneath the date. The 1911 issue had a fairly large mintage of over 100 million pieces, so while it is more than a century old, it is not considered especially rare. However, collectors still prize these early wheat pennies because they represent the early years of the longest-running coin design in United States history. When a 1911 Lincoln cent is found in circulated condition, especially one that has visible wear, dirt, or scratches, its value depends primarily on how well its main features have survived through time and how severe the marks are that affect its appearance. A coin that has been in circulation for decades and shows clear wear, dirt, and surface scratches will naturally have a lower market value compared to one that has been well preserved. In the current collector market, the 1911 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark in average circulated condition typically sells for a modest price. Most coins that show considerable wear and have lost their original red copper luster will trade between a few cents and $1, depending on eye appeal. Dirt, grime, or discoloration often reduce collector interest unless the coin can be safely cleaned by a professional, which most collectors avoid doing because improper cleaning leaves visible hairline marks and can destroy the original patina. A coin described as being in dirty condition with scratches generally means it has been handled many times, exposed to moisture or dust, and may have marks that distract from the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse or from the wheat stalks and lettering on the reverse. These scratches might be from rough storage in jars, pockets, or coin rolls, and they can significantly diminish the coin's overall appeal. In this kind of condition, collectors might pay between 20 cents and $1 if the details are still strong enough to show Lincoln's facial features and the wheat ears clearly. A 1999 sa 1911 penny in dirty condition might still have value as a historical object and as an entry-level collectible coin for someone starting a Lincoln cent collection. Because it comes from the early era of production, even worn examples attract some attention from those who enjoy completing year sets from 1909 through 1958. The color of the coin also influences price. Coins that retain a reddish tone from their original copper alloy are worth more than those that have turned brown or black from oxidation. However, a dirty coin with scratches will almost always grade below fine condition, and professional grading services would consider it a problem coin, meaning that while authentic, it does not meet the standards of a collectible piece in good condition. The exact value of your coin in today's market depends on where it is sold. At local coin shops or small online marketplaces, most buyers will offer about 30 to 50 cents for such a coin. In bulk sales or mixed coin lots, it might be worth even less because it is common and not in high demand. However, a collector who wants a coin specifically from 1911 to fill a missing spot might be willing to pay closer to $1 if the date is clearly visible and both the obverse and reverse details are easily readable. Large auction houses usually do not list individual low-grade coins like this because the cost of listing and shipping often exceeds their value, so such coins are typically sold in rolls or mixed lots. Next up, the 1941 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark was produced at the Philadelphia Mint during a time when the Lincoln cent had already become a familiar and trusted part of American coinage. Millions of these coins were struck that year, and they remain quite common today. However, every coin tells its own story through its appearance, color, and the marks it carries from decades of circulation. A coin like the 1941 Lincoln cent in a red color shade, even if found in dirty condition with some scratches, still holds both historical and sentimental value. The red color shade is especially interesting because it means that the coin has retained some of its original mint luster, even after years of handling. Copper coins naturally darken over time due to exposure to air and moisture, turning brown or even black, so when traces of red remain visible, collectors often take notice. Still, the presence of dirt, surface damage, and scratches lowers its desirability in the numismatic market. When evaluating the value of such a coin, condition plays the most important role. A 1941 penny without a mint mark in uncirculated red condition could be worth several dollars or more. However, once it has circulated and accumulated grime and scratches, the market value drops dramatically. A coin that is described as dirty and scratched means it has been exposed to the elements or stored improperly for many years, possibly in a place with dust, humidity, or rough surfaces that left marks. The scratches may appear across Lincoln's portrait or along the reverse where the wheat stalks and 1 cent inscription are located. These flaws make the coin less attractive to collectors who prefer clean, problem-free examples. Because of this, the value of a coin in such condition will typically range between 20 cents and $1, depending on the severity of the damage and the level of remaining detail. Collectors often refer to color designations like red-brown and brown when grading copper coins. A red coin is one that still shows more than 90% of its original bright copper tone from the day it left the mint. Red-brown indicates a mix of color, while brown coins have lost most of their original shine. Your coin being described as red but dirty suggests that underneath the layer of grime, the original mint color still exists. This could add slight value if the coin were professionally cleaned or conserved without scratching the surface further. However, cleaning copper coins is risky. Most experienced collectors prefer to leave a coin as is, since cleaning can create unnatural brightness or micro-scratches that reduce its authenticity and overall value. If dirt is light and sits loosely on the surface, gentle rinsing in distilled water and careful drying with a soft cloth might help. But heavy scrubbing or chemical use should always be avoided. From a historical standpoint, the 1941 Lincoln wheat penny connects directly to the World War II era. While the war had not yet fully involved the United States at the start of that year, these pennies circulated widely across the nation during a time of global change. In 1943, just 2 years later, the mint switched temporarily to steel cents to conserve copper for the war effort. Because of that, the 1941 and 1942 issues are among the last pre-war copper wheat pennies and carry a certain nostalgic appeal. Many collectors appreciate owning examples from this period because they represent an age of transition in U.S. history. When coins like this appear in coin shops or online auctions, sellers usually price them according to visual appeal, color tone, and grade. For a 1941 penny in dirty and scratched condition, buyers are not likely to pay more than a few quarters unless the coin has unusually strong luster or minimal wear despite the dirt. In most cases, you could expect an offer around 30 to 75 cents. In bulk sales or rolls of mixed wheat pennies, coins in similar condition often sell for a few cents each, since dealers buy them for quantity rather than individual rarity. However, a collector who needs this date and prefers the red tone may offer closer to $1 if the details of Lincoln's face, the lettering, and the wheat stalks remain crisp and easy to see. If your coin were professionally graded and encapsulated, it might have a slightly higher resale value, though the cost of grading would exceed what such a circulated coin is worth. For this reason, collectors generally keep coins like this as part of personal collections rather than investment pieces. The small monetary value does not diminish its historical importance, as every Lincoln penny minted before 1959 with the wheat design serves as a reminder of early 20th century American minting craftsmanship.